History is going to be made on Saturday. We're in Washington, D.C. all week for our Restoring Honor rally at the feet of Abraham Lincoln this Saturday, 10 a.m. No tickets available, just come. All right, I know that I'm widely regarded as the guy that you don't want to party with, not only because I don't drink, but I also tend to bring the mood down just a little bit, you know, with the whole talk of, oh, America's over, that kind of thing. Reality tends to set in sometimes, and you don't really want that at a party. But today, I'm actually going to bring you some good news. I think we must be close to winning the fight. How do I know? Well, somebody told me today on the radio that the president's favorite reading source should be opened up and looked at. It was the Huffington Post. Here was the headline. Look at this. Whoa. Look at that. And it's like an Arial 58 font, and it's in red, so it had to be huge news. And I'm like, I said, what about, huh? Well, let's look at the damning gotcha evidence now from the president's favorite news source. They claim that I'm being hypocritical because supposedly I supported the Ground Zero Imam way back in 2006. I didn't even remember meeting the guy. Here's the exchange from a guest appearance that I did with Diane Sawyer and Imam Rauf. They were talking about radicals being, quote, a small group of people.
Let me turn to Glenn Beck, because the Imam Rauf has said this is a group of people. This is not him. This is not all of Islam. This is just a group of people.
Sure. I believe it's a small portion of Islam that is acting in these ways. But I believe that it is important for all of us to look evil in the eye and crush it.
You know what? You know what? The Huffington Post actually ran the story that I was endorsing him by saying, sure. That's it? Are you kidding me? That's your argument? Do you know how close we are to winning America? If that's what they're down to, sure. I'd never even heard of this guy before I did this appearance, and quite honestly, until today, I didn't even remember this appearance. I was agreeing, this is crazy, this is how radical and out of control a hate monger I am. I was agreeing that most of Islam is a peaceful religion. Sure. I knew nothing about Rauf at the time. No reasonable human being would take that reaction as a full endorsement of this imam. I mean, it was a comment on the religion as whole. And what are they implying? I mean, I didn't know anything about him. Is the Huffington Post implying that I should have assumed that this imam was a terrorist? Oh, Glenn, most of them, he's saying it's not him. Oh, I don't know. He's a Muslim. Hello? Can you imagine if I would have made this the Van Jones case? Well, the president said, sure, after he was talking about communism. What? Great journalism there. That's how close you are to winning. Can you imagine if we would have based our entire case on Van Jones like this, or the president, or anybody else? I'd be out of work. But that's what the news source recommended by the President of the United States did. But that shouldn't really be shocking, especially when you see the president's spiritual advisor. This is a guy in his inner circle, Jim Wallace. What is the president's spiritual advisor doing now? He's the guy that runs Sojourners, a progressive front group that uses religion as their cover for a progressive agenda. Wallace has tried to boycott me, as has count them, 4 advisors to this president. Never been done in history. Anybody want to claim their Pulitzer? Marvin Orlasky, he is from World Magazine. He ran a piece asking Jim Wallace to admit that his group, Sojourners, is not some ordinary grassroots organization. He challenged Wallace to admit that he indeed had accepted money from George Soros, who's the head of the snake. Now, here's Jim Wallace's reaction, how he responded to this accusation. Quote, "It's not hyperbole or overstatement to say that Glenn Beck lies for a living." Gee, that sounds almost, well, that's more than a smear, isn't it, Jim? "I'm sad to see Marvin Orlasky doing the same thing. No, we don't receive money from Soros. Our money comes from Christians who support us and read Sojourners. He should tell Marvin he should check his facts and not imitate Glenn Beck." No, seriously, that's a wonderful statement, Jim, especially the way you tell it. It's almost believable. There's only one problem with it. It's completely wrong. Neither I nor Marvin were lying. In fact, George Soros's Open Society Institute did, in fact, donate $325,000 to sojourners. Wallace has now issued this apology. I should have declined to comment until I was further able to reveal the blog post in question. Really, Jim? You mean you should have read the accusation before you said, well, was it about me? It doesn't matter. It basically bearing false witness. Yes, Jim, that would have been helpful. Between the Ground Zero Imam and Jim Wallace, what is happening? America, God is the answer. But I believe that's why the attack on God is so strong. They are trying to divide us. They know that faith plays a critical role in the restoration of America. They know the only way to put sanity back into us is through God. This has nothing to do with Barack Obama. We've been on this road for 100 years. Here, though, today you have a man of the cloth, a spiritual and political advisor to the president. Where's church and state separation there? Spiritual and political advisor to the president of the United States, lying in order to smear an enemy or a perceived enemy. The spiritual advisor to the president of the United States, he'll do that. If that happens, is there anything people in Washington are not capable of? We're on the road here in Washington all week for 828. That's this Saturday, and a lot of people are traveling from all over the world. We have Americans that are coming home from Eastern Europe that have written me letters. We have a photojournalist from Paris, France that is going to be here, says the story needs to be told. We have people coming, one couple's coming from Nigeria to return home just to stand at the feet of Abraham Lincoln. This is a historic event. I heard today that the 912 group up, I think it was in Philadelphia, started with 3 buses. Then they had 10 buses, and now they have 28 buses coming. Callaway buses, I think, for the president's inauguration did 1,600 buses. We're now up to 1,000 buses for this. There were 700,000 people at the inauguration. It was the biggest event ever done for the inauguration of this president. Biggest event ever done on the Mall. There might be 10,000 people here. There might be, who knows. But I just know that this is an event where it may not change America tomorrow. It may. It may not change America tomorrow. I know it will in 25 years. Because somewhere there will be an 8-year-old boy or girl that will rise to be the next George Washington. Dan Baltus is traveling from Utah. He organized a 10-bus road trip to D.C. Buses are coming from Arizona, Texas. These are on the website. These are some of the buses. There's more on the website at glennbeck.com. If you just want to grab a seat, you can go there and look for one and call one of the numbers. Just to make it to the steps of Lincoln Memorial, Dan joins me now. When do you leave, sir?
We'll leave Salt Lake City at 2 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday.
Okay, and why? What was it exactly that said to you that you wanted to be involved in this?
Well, I was coming back from Dallas, and I had made up my mind I was coming to the 828 rally, and I went on the website, and there wasn't anything coming out of the West, and I said, well, if not me, then who? And I already had the website, so I put it together, and we're all set.
Now you're stopping in Phoenix, Arizona, and Austin, Texas. People are calling you, and they're trying to get onto the buses. How many extra seats do you have?
Well, right now in Salt Lake City, I think we have 5, and we have about 20 left in Austin.
So
but if I had to put another bus on the road tomorrow, I'd do it in a second.
Yeah, I have a feeling that you will probably find a few more stragglers here in the last few days. How many days on the bus? I mean, I just can't get my arms around how people are. How much time are they going to spend in the bus? And are you staying overnight anywhere? Are you staying here? Is just a crazy road trip?
Well, what we've done, what I kind of did was a quasi-crazy road trip and made a little vacation out of it. We're going to leave Salt Lake City on the 25th at 2 in the morning. We'll arrive in Staunton, Virginia, the afternoon of the 27th, and then we'll go to the rally from Staunton the next morning. We'll stay overnight at the Holiday Inn. I don't know, at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, yeah.
Yeah, we have accommodations at a motel or a hotel.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's okay. Dan, I have to tell you, I sure thank you for doing that, and all the people that are going to be on the bus with you. Make sure you get there early, because I have a feeling that Saturday morning is going to be a little nuts in D.C. as people try to get to the mall. Thank you, sir.
I think it's my pleasure, Glenn.
You got it. We'll see you Saturday. Back in just a second. My family and I got to Washington, D.C. on Saturday, and we're staying here all week. And tomorrow I'm going in, or is it tonight? I can't remember. I'm going to the National Archives. I'm looking for some specific things from our founders that they wrote about that I'll share with you later in the week. I hope to be able to bring some of those pictures to you. But I'm trying to get myself in the frame of mind for a message that I want to deliver, and it's certainly not political, even though everybody in the media seems to want to make it political. They want to make it about race. It's none of those things. Last night, I took my family to George Washington's house, Mount Vernon. I walked on the same cobblestones, and in his house, the man who was called the indispensable man, a man who he turned down power twice. He turned down power twice. After the war, he turned it over. The soldiers wanted to take over Congress. They wanted to give him the power. They wanted to take it from a system that they had already thought was corrupt and not responsive to the people. They weren't paying the soldiers. Washington stopped them. He said, we didn't fight one tyrant to replace with another tyrant. And then he resigned from office. He finished his term, and he ended. He didn't want to die in office. He didn't want it to look like it was being passed on like kings. He wanted to set the example. Nobody had ever run more than 8 years until FDR. Everybody knew about Washington and said, well, you think you're better than Washington? Up until the Progressive Era, we knew about George Washington. We knew about our founders. We knew about these great men. We don't anymore. If you're coming to Washington, if you're here, would you please take your children to the museums at Mount Vernon? They are fantastic. In one room, it even snows in Valley Forge. It is remarkable. Please help restore honor to our country by remembering those who brought honor to our country in our past. Tonight at GlennBeck.com, we have a special broadcast from Washington for Insider Extreme members. You don't want to miss it. 8 p.m. Eastern with me. Go to GlennBeck.com and sign up. We'll see you tomorrow from Washington, D.C. Good night, America.